When Trump first announced his ceasefire with Iran, if you will remember, I specifically mentioned in my video that this was going to be a 5D plan, using the ceasefire as some sort of opportunity in order to pull off some sort of galactic-brained Giga 5D chess move. Everyone said I was going crazy. Everyone said it was insane. But I say that you cannot negotiate with terrorists. And I think Donald Trump knows that. And therefore, if he's willing to put forth some sort of peace agreement, it's because he's demanding a heck of a lot more than he knows they're willing to give. And he's going to use this as an opportunity to win. I was proven correct. And I respect the fact that you're not going to believe me just by me saying this. So I'm going to prove it to you. This was J.D. Vance right before the negotiations began.
We're looking forward to the negotiation. I think it's going to be positive. We'll, of course, see. As the President of the United States said, if the Iranians are willing to negotiate in good faith, we're certainly willing to extend the open hand.
They're literally terrorists. Let me just set the stage here. They're literally terrorists. They've lied to us in the past. They lied about not enriching uranium to Obama. They lied about not having missiles that could reach 4,000 kilometers to Donald Trump. And they had those missiles. They're liars. They're liars and terrorists. Yeah, sure, they'll operate in good faith. Now, I think that Vance is not saying this because he believes it. I think Vance is saying this because he wants the media and the world to look at this from the perspective of, we are trying our absolute best to make peace. And no, they're not willing. I think that's the strategy.
And if they're going to try to play us, then they're going to find that the negotiating team is not that receptive. So we're going to try to have a
epic foreshadowing.
Positive negotiation. The president has gave us some pretty clear guidelines. And we're going to see. So I hope you guys have a safe flight. We'll certainly take some questions later on. But for now, let's get on the plane and hit the road.
All right, so hit the road. What's going to happen? Well, first, red flag. The negotiations took place in Pakistan. Now, I know this is going to sound racist, but that place fucking sucks. Now, you're probably wondering, why didn't Trump go himself? The answer is simple. Why would he want to go to Pakistan? That place fucking sucks. Anyway, so this was right after the negotiations.
We have been at it now for 21 hours.
Damn.
And we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news.
Good news, we talked about things. All right, that's good. All right, that's literally the bar is in hell if that's good news.
News is that we have not reached an agreement.
No agreement. As predicted by moi. I don't think Trump ever expected an agreement. And as I predicted the entire time, Donald Trump is using these 2 weeks for a 5D chess move.
And I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America.
True. I don't think Trump ever wanted them to make a deal. My nuclear take is Trump never wanted them to make a deal because he's not going to trust them anyway. I see a lot of people being like, now Trump wants a deal? Obama wanted a deal and Trump was upset about it. Why does Trump want a deal now? Well, the answer is simple. It's because Trump doesn't want a deal. It's because Trump doesn't want a deal, and he's playing you all for absolute fools. All right, and the only people that actually know what's going on are the people that are watching the NuxRequiem channel. I've been pretty consistently correct about this from day one. It's my Mossad handler. He's giving me all the correct info.
So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could. And they have chosen not to accept our terms.
Yep.
We have been at it.
That's right. Now, this is basically whatever I saw coming. Now, Obama basically said you can't have nukes. And they're like, okay, and then they enriched uranium anyway. They obviously weren't going to listen to that because their ultimate stated goal was obliterating us. That was pretty obvious. So I knew Trump's deal could not just be nukes because they'd say yes, they'd lie about it. I think Trump basically forced their hand by telling them that they needed to do something to prove their fealty. And I was correct. This was just proved correct just like 2 hours ago. All right, update. J.D. Vance's final deal to Iran during the Pakistan negotiations was finally revealed.
There are still disagreements over the Strait of Hormuz and Iranian uranium enrichment. We do understand overnight President Trump posted on Truth Social saying, quote, "We're now starting the process of clearing out the Strait of Hormuz as a favor to countries all over the world,
what a benevolent man.
China, Japan, South Korea, France, Germany, and many others."
By the way, this is correct. This is a favor to the world. A lot of people are like, what do you mean a favor to the world? You started the war and now the Strait of Hormuz is closed and it's totally your fault. This isn't a favor to the world. This is just cleaning up your own mess. Now, a lot of people might say that, but then again, a lot of people are fucking retarded. That's true. That's true. We can't always blame them for being retarded, but in this case, we can. The reality is, the Strait of Hormuz being open it is an economic waterway. All right. The fact that Iran decided, oh, yeah, we're just going to start laying mines and bombing economic ships and civilian ships in the Strait of Hormuz. That is an act of terror. That's not Donald Trump's fault. It's like, how dare Trump prevent Iran from nuking them? Now Iran's going to have to bomb random civilian ships. It's like, excuse me, what? No, this is all Iran's fault, and it is Donald Trump doing the world a favor. It gets even better.
Incredibly, they don't have the courage or will to do this work themselves.
True.
U.S. Central Command says that American ships started a mine-clearing operation on Saturday to clear the waterway. This included 2 U.S. destroyers passing through the strait. With a focus on international transit, President Trump also spoke this weekend about U.S. dominance over the Iranian Navy.
Yep, that's right. And it seems like the deal that was supposed to be given between J.D. Vance and Iran was 1, end all uranium enrichment based, 2, dismantle, and we can't trust them, right? Because even if we let them enrich to like 2-3%, we can't trust them because as it stands right now, they ended up enriching uranium to 60%. This is confirmed by the United Nations, by the IAEA. All right, this is not just our intelligence, this is the world intelligence. They enriched uranium to 60%, which only could be used for a nuclear weapon. It's not for civilian power. So we can't trust them because they're terrorists. So end all uranium enrichment, dismantle all major nuclear enrichment facilities, retrieve the highly enriched uranium. I've been saying the whole time this is going to be one of the parts of his deal, that basically Iran is going to need to dig up the uranium that they actually had enriched, that we bombed to smithereens and Midnight Hammer, and give it to us. Except a broader peace, security, de-escalation framework includes regional allies and funding for terror proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. Open the Strait of Hormuz, no tolls for passage, according to Fox News. Now, the reality is, they were not willing to do this. My guess is they were not willing to end all uranium enrichment, and my guess is they were not willing to return the actual highly enriched uranium. You want to know why I don't think so? Because they're an apocalyptic death cult that wants to fucking kill us. So the reality is, Iran News decided to say this: the U.S. did not come to negotiate, but to dictate. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Correct. Yes, you're getting it. That's what happens when you lose a war. When you lose a war, you submit to the demands or you lose even worse. Now, the entire lib-cuck mindset of the European countries are, you're never allowed to win wars, because if you win wars, it means that you end up defeating the enemy, and you're not allowed to defeat the enemy because people might die. Now, that is unfortunately gay and retarded. It is a very nice, wholesome, gay way to look at the world, but it is also unfathomably stupid as shit. All right, you have to win wars. And the way things work is, if you bomb them until they either surrender or die, that's how wars work. If they don't want to surrender, they're going to die. If they don't want to die, then they should surrender. So yes, we are here to dictate, not negotiate. I'm glad you're picking up on it. So Iran, completely useless fucking terror country, unable to fully reopen the Strait of Hormuz because it cannot find all the mines it deployed. All right. Now, just to be clear, putting mines in the Strait of Hormuz is a war crime. It is a violation of international law. I'm not saying this because I care about international law. I'm sure people are going to try to get me on some sort of gotcha or something. I actually don't give a fuck about international law. But also, I don't give a fuck about violating international law, because this is what we're up against. You have to understand what we're dealing with here. I'm supposed to be sitting here bitching and crying that Trump bombed the bridge or some shit when you have Iran firing cluster munitions and putting mines in a public economic waterway. The UN was condemning the United States for this entire operation, everything that happened, and is absolute silence for Iran. When this is what they're doing, bro, are we serious? I wonder why Trump doesn't want them to nuclear weapon. Yeah, you want a country that just, oopsie poopsie, we forgot about where the landmines are in the Strait of Hormuz. We totally forgot, oopsie poopsie. You want these guys to have nukes? Like, are we being serious? Like, come on, dude. Now, here's the big twist. Just in, several U.S. Navy ships crossed the Strait of Hormuz for the first time since the war with Iran began. Now, you're probably wondering, why would the United States Navy ships be crossing the Strait of Hormuz? Well, get ready. So first, Emmanuel Macron, French president, keeps trying to be important. He released this tweet. As you can see, it went over very poorly. It has 10,000 likes for the president of France. I've held discussions with the Iranian president Massoud Pezeshkian. I urged them to seize the possibility presented by the talks launched in Islamabad and Pakistan, my homeland, to pave the way for a lasting de-escalation and demanding agreement that provides solid agreements for security in the region involving all the countries concerned. You do realize that these guys massacred 40,000 of their own people just like a month ago, right? I emphasize the need for Iran to swiftly restore freedom and security and navigation in the Strait of Hormuz, to which France stands ready to contribute. Yeah, now that the war's over, bro's ready to contribute. Isn't that nice? Isn't that awesome? The war's over, Iran's decimated, and Macron's like, I am ready to contribute. I am here. I am here to help. Don't worry, I am French. I have a baguette. I have a mind-sweeping baguette. Right, so yeah, thanks, man. I stress the importance of full respect for a ceasefire, including in Lebanon. Why would Lebanon have anything to do with Iran? Unless you're saying that the Hezbollah terrorists in Lebanon are literally Iranian proxies. Interesting. France extends full support to the actions of the Lebanese authorities. You do realize the Lebanese authorities are against the Hezbollah terrorists in Lebanon too, right? Who alone are legitimate to exercise the sovereignty of the state and decide the destiny of Lebanon. I love how it's like, you have a terrorist organization in Lebanon, Hezbollah, that's firing missiles into civilian cities in Israel. And he's like, whoa, Israel, you can't fight back. We need the Lebanon government to decide what to do with the Hezbollah terrorists that are bombing civilians. Classic France, am I right? Not even involved, still finds a way to surrender. Now, my favorite thing about this entire tweet is the fact that, and this might come as a shock to you, it's that no one fucking asked you, bro. Bro's just sticking his nose in. I am important as well. I also put my pants on one nipple at a time like everyone else. And I am here to let you all know that I am involved. My guy, you've done fucking nothing the entire time. You will continue to do nothing. All right, you're not involved. You're monitoring the situation on Twitter like everybody else. Worry about the fact that rape rates in France have increased by about 400% over the last 2 years. All right, so Israel has refused to allow France to take part in the upcoming direct talks with Lebanon and Washington next week. So basically, for those of you not up to date with the full geopolitical scale here, Israel was bombing Hezbollah terrorists in Lebanon. And obviously, a lot of people were not super happy about this. So America was like, hey, Israel, would you like to do some sort of peace treaty with Lebanon? That would be really nice. So Israel was like, okay. And Lebanon was like, okay. And they'll do a meeting. And then France is like, we will mediate. I'm not even kidding. France is like, we are here. We will get involved. And Israel's like, no, we don't actually want to talk to you guys. Who even are you people? All right, yeah. Want to make peace? Sure. She's not interested. France shows up out of the blue. All right, so, but this is the real tweet. Now, as I've mentioned several times, every piece of world news starts and ends with the stroke of Trump's pen. So this tweet and the follow-up is insane. So there you have it. The meeting went well. Oh, went well. I thought the meeting totally collapsed. Most points were agreed to. The only point that really mattered, nuclear, was not. But wait a second. I was told by Joe Kent that they were even trying to develop a nuclear weapon. Effective immediately, the United States Navy, the finest in the world, will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. I think this was the plan all along. I think this was literally the strategy for the ceasefire so that the talks could collapse, so that he could do this. But anyway, I'll get more on that in a second. At some point, we will reach an all being allowed to go in, all being allowed to go out basis, but Iran has not allowed that to happen by merely saying there may be a mine out there somewhere that nobody knows about but them. This is world extortion, true, and leaders of the countries, especially the United States of America, will never be extorted. He's like, I don't even need the Strait of Hormuz, but fuck you for trying. Oh my God. I have also instructed our Navy to seek and interdict every vessel in international waters that had paid a toll to Iran. Right, so anyone that actually paid a toll to Iran to get through, we are going to track them down. No one who pays an illegal toll will have safe passage on the high seas. We will also begin destroying the mines the Iranians had laid in the straits. Any Iranian who fires at us or at peaceful vessels will be blown to hell. Now, to be clear, a lot of people are saying this violates the ceasefire. It does not. Iran doesn't own the Strait of Hormuz. They're just terrorists. All right, Iran knows better than anyone how to end the situation, which has already devastated their country. Their navy is gone, their air force is gone, their anti-aircraft and radar are useless. Khomeini and most of the leaders are dead because of their nuclear ambition. The blockade will begin shortly. It's starting tomorrow, apparently. Other countries will be involved with this blockade. Iran will never be allowed to profit off this illegal act of extortion. They want money, and more importantly, they want nuclear. Additionally, and at an appropriate moment, we are fully locked and loaded, and our military will finish up the little that is left in Iran. So understand, Iran tried to make some sort of stranglehold on the world economy through the Strait of Hormuz, right? So they tried to stop all energy from passing through that strait. And essentially they wanted to start charging millions of dollars as like an extortion fee for anyone that actually wants to travel through the Strait of Hormuz with oil. And Trump is like, oh, really? Well, we're making a super blockade. Nothing is going through. I don't even give a shit if it's like an ally of Iran. I don't care if Iran wants to sell things. I don't care if they don't want to sell things. And for those of you that are unaware, this is an absolute gridlock on Iran. You see, Iran is a mass producer of two things, and that is how their entire country is still around. It's a mass producer of oil, and it's a mass producer of terrorism. Now, the latter is not going very well for them because ever since October 7th, the largest military miscalculation they've ever made, they're fucked. And now in regards to oil exports, well, there's a blockade around their ports in the Strait of Hormuz. So they ain't getting any oil out either. So this is an absolute stranglehold, and Trump is justly doing it to prevent them from extorting the world. Understand the reframing of what's going on. And in my opinion, he wanted his 2-week ceasefire so he could, without fear of missiles and shit, organize this blockade. This was the plan. Because the one trump card that Iran actually had was, oh, we're just going to fucking commit acts of terror and bomb ships in the Strait of Hormuz and literally cripple the entire world's energy. And this absolutely not only stops them from doing that, but it reorganizes the entire world order, as you will see in just a minute. Then Trump made a second tweet. Iran promised to open up the Strait of Hormuz and knowingly failed to do so. This caused anxiety. Oh, dislocation and pain to many people and countries throughout the world. They say they put mines in the water, even though all the Navy and most of their mine droppers have been completely blown up. They may have done so, but what ship owner would take that chance? Oh, there is a great dishonor and permanent harm to the reputation of Iran. Yeah, sure. What's left of their leaders? But we are beyond all of that. As they promised, they better begin the process of getting this international waterway open and fast. Every law in the book is being violated by them. I have been fully debriefed by Vice President J.D. Vance, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner on the meeting that took place in Islamabad through the very kind and competent leadership of Field Marshal Asim Munir and the Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif. He's a piece of shit, to be honest, but I mean, to be fair, we're doing like some negotiations, so we have to glaze him a little bit. But that guy fucking sucks. Pakistan, they are very extraordinary men. Sure. And they continue to thank me for saving 30 to 50 million lives in what would have been a horrendous war with India. I always appreciate hearing that. The amount of humanity spoken of is incomprehensible. The meeting with Iran began early in the morning, lasted throughout the night, close to 20 hours. I could go into great detail and talk about what has been gotten. But there's only one thing that matters. Iran is unwilling to give up its nuclear ambitions. But what? But Tucker Carlson told me they weren't even trying to develop nuclear weapons. That's crazy. Wow. And now you're telling me in like an open negotiation, and this is in front of fucking Pakistan, okay? Pakistan heard the negotiation. So it's completely and utterly confirmed that they do have the standing goal of developing nuclear weapons as they chant death to America with their open goal of destroying us, all right? Discussion over, all right? A lot of people were like, no, they weren't actually trying to develop nuclear weapons. The Obama deal was holding, etc., etc. Complete horseshit. Utterly debunked. In many ways, the points that were agreed to are better for us. Better than us continuing our military operation to conclusion, but all those points don't matter. Be compared to allowing nuclear power to be in the hands of such volatile, difficult, and unpredictable people. My 3 representatives, as all of this time went by, became, not surprisingly, very friendly and respectful of Iran's representatives. Mohammed Bagher, Ghalibaf, Abbas Agarachi, and Ali Bagheri. But that doesn't matter. What they were very unyielding as the simple most important issue. And as I've always said, right from the beginning and many years ago, Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. And here is the ultimate update. What happens when you ultimately the peace deal collapses? All right, we don't have a negotiation. We don't have a settlement. We have a complete blockade, an American blockade on the Strait of Hormuz, maybe even mines in there. You have this. The greatest photo I have seen since the war began. And I'll be real, I've been watching those explosions on repeat, because watching those fucking mullahs getting obliterated after massacring 40,000 of their own people is diabolical. But this is the greatest image of the entire fucking war. If you're unaware of what this is an entire convoy of empty oil tankers on their way to the United States to fill up on oil. That's right, Iran is no longer the world's exporter of oil. We are. Not Canada, because they're woke and they have land acknowledgements and carbon taxes and all this woke bullshit. All right, but we, who drill, baby, drill, we have the oil, all the oil, and everyone is making their way over to the Gulf of America. I can't believe Donald Trump has decided to remove Chinese control for the Panama Canal. Bro, it's literally so diabolical the way all this clicked together. Lamau, was this actually a 500 chess move the whole time? No way. 500, was this actually a 500 IQ chess move? Yes. Yes, it was. Iran played its biggest card, and the main result is that the United States became the world's emergency gas station, and China's cheap energy subsidy evaporated. Good luck invading Taiwan when you have to pay us for oil. All right, unbelievable. I've sent J.D. Vance to Pakistan to negotiate with the Iranians. I'd go myself, but I don't want to go to Pakistan. True. This is a real-time photo. You could check it, all right? You can go to marinetraffic.com to track globally right now. Zoom in and look at the absolute bonanza paying the glorious United States of America for our hard-earned oil. That's right, baby. There's a new chief oil exporter on the planet, and it's us. We are a global superpower, and we are an energy superpower right now. Trump won, Iran lost. The entire global energy market reshuffled itself to accommodate the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. And it just so happens that the world's biggest producer of oil and natural gas is the United States of America. Iran will never recover from this. And not only that, but with the blockade, an American blockade over the Strait of Hormuz, because Iran is committing acts of terror, you know. You know, Iran is committing acts of terror. We have to blockade the Strait of Hormuz, obviously. Not only are we going to get rich as fuck on all this, but Iran has absolutely nothing. No money, no weapon, no income. They are mega cooked. Mega cooked. As Don Tzu said, break an enemy blockade by blockading their blockade. So true, Mr. Don Tzu. You were so right for this one. Now, here's another pretty crazy twist, and I think it's also part of the plan. Saudi Arabia fully restores the east-west oil pipeline, bypassing the Strait of Hormuz and pumping out 7 million barrels a day. Now, for those of you paying attention at home, if you include this and you include the United States, we basically have essentially subsidized about 80% of what we would have been using the Strait of Hormuz for, except we're not funding terrorism anymore. Saudi Arabia says the east-west pipeline has been restored to full capacity, bypassing the Strait of Hormuz. Now, not only is Saudi Arabia fully involved, but so is the United Arab Emirates. I told you Pakistan would fail at this. Pakistan deals in wishful thinking and empty promises. It always has. Turkey, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia, if they keep pushing this path, will fail too. The Islamic regime in Iran understands only one language: power, decisive and final. Finish the job. Do not negotiate with terrorists. God bless the United Arab Emirates. God bless America. God bless the Iranian people. Bro, we are watching government officials in the United Arab Emirates screaming at Donald Trump, bomb them to hell. What is happening? This is the global realignment. You know, this is really peace through strength. Right now, just imagine a world where right now we have the United States of America, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Israel all on the same side. What even happened, bro? This is insane. Of course, Iran is crashing out over this. Just in, Iran's IRGC, that's their government, their Islamic government, says any military vessel that under any pretext or exercise intended to approach the Strait of Hormuz will be considered as violating the ceasefire and be dealt with harshly and decisively. So they're basically saying, we're just going to consider things bad, and we're going to therefore kill random innocent people because of it. Because traveling through the Strait of Hormuz does not actually violate the ceasefire. The Strait of Hormuz does not belong to Iran. It's not Iran's sovereign territory. It is an international waterway around Iran. Therefore, since Iranian terrorists have been running the country for the last 47 years and torturing their own people, they've also had this entire place in a chokehold because they've just been bombing random ships. And one thing that always frustrates me about specifically the United Nations and all these libtards, they're like, oh, they're terrorists. Of course they're going to do acts of terror. We can't possibly hold them accountable to their actions. Yeah, the terrorists are using human shields. That's okay. They're terrorists. They don't need to follow laws or anything. Well, shit's not working anymore, and there's nothing you can do about it because it does not actually violate the ceasefire to travel through the Strait of Hormuz. And if you bomb our ships, oh my god, the end of Iran. Holy fuck. Now, Uganda, I don't know where these guys came from, but Uganda lately has been trolling everyone, and it's been honestly diabolical. So first, Ugandan general says he's ready and willing to mobilize 100,000 Ugandan soldiers to be at the beck and call of Israel against Iran, which is like, what the actual fuck is happening? All right, Donald Trump, peace through strength, he managed to do something crazy. Now, this one's even wilder. Uganda's military chief demands $1 billion from Turkey and the most beautiful woman in the country for a wife. Threatens to close embassy if demands not met. Dude, literally, what is happening? What is happening on this planet? What are we even doing? Now, as you can see, this is the Saudi Arabia breaking the East-West pipeline is now operating at full capacity, 7 million barrels per day, according to the Saudi Ministry of Energy. It's almost as if the Americans figured out that they needed up to around 2 weeks to get this pipeline operating at full capacity. It seems like the America needed about 2 weeks, and wow, what a coincidence. There's a 2-week ceasefire literally right now. Isn't that funny? Of course, my favorite part of this entire situation, which if you've actually been paying attention to the media, if you've actually been reading what's going on and reading between the lines just a little bit, you fully understand what's happening, as I've elaborated, I think, very clearly in a way that no other political retard actually does. Okay, I've been watching a lot of these guys, and so many of these dumb fucks are actually retarded. Case in point, Piers Morgan, lib cuck extraordinaire. Sorry, what? So, having demanded the strait be opened on pain of all Iranian civilization being ended, President Trump is now going to shut it himself. You absolute clown show. I'm not going to reiterate what I basically spent the last 10 minutes elaborating very, very clearly, but Piers, stop being so fucking retarded. We get it. You don't want to piss off the radical jihadists in your country, so you have to run defense for Iran. We got it. It's okay. It's okay, dude. If I was you, I wouldn't want to get blown up either. So, that's fair. And here's the really funny thing. I think you don't understand. This completely eliminates Iranian leverage. Now, forget for a second all of the other details that I mentioned for you until now. And think about it this way. The United States of America doesn't really need the Strait of Hormuz. We have tons of oil. Iran relies on the Strait of Hormuz for its entire oil export and therefore all of its money. Will this blockade hurt the oil economy and the rest of the world aside from America? Yes. But sorry, Piers Morgan. England's gas prices are a sacrifice I am willing to make. I guess you should have helped or something, you absolute assholes. I'm sorry, bro. Sucks for you, I guess. We're out here stomping out a terrorist regime. Catch up, bitch. And of course, we have Cenk Younger, other Islamist retards. Trump is retaliating against Iran by double closing the Strait of Hormuz, so now Iran's oil can't get out either. Based. Okay, but what will that do to oil prices? Make them much higher, and that will hurt our economy very badly. So ironically, that only increases Iran's leverage. He's actually fucking retarded. He's actually fucking retarded. It's unbelievable. Either that, or he's trying to LARP as an American and propagandize Americans into thinking that actually we ought to not kill Islamic terrorists. But I'm sorry, my guy. I have a very different opinion. Killing Islamic terrorists is fucking awesome, actually.